What's up, everyone? So today what you're about to see is a profiling session, and one of the many profiling sessions that I turned in for my certification at Personality Hacker. So the reason why I'm posting these is so that you can kind of get an idea of how my profiling sessions kind of go, which are essentially me sitting down with you, interviewing you for about an hour and some change. Sometimes we break it up into two parts depending on how difficult the session is, or time constraints. But essentially you pay me to sit down with you, I'll record the session with you, and then we'll find what your best fit Myers-Briggs type is and try to see if you can arrive at the same conclusion of the person's type before the end of the video, to kind of brush up your own skills. This is intended to help you guys see, there will be some stereotypes that are like, oh, this person is a classic ISFJ. And then there could be some others that you would think like, what? But I read in a book that ISTPs are like this. But this one shows up pretty differently, than what you would think, while still using that same function stack. And that's the beauty that I found in Myers-Briggs, and pretty much being able to profile people. Like after profiling many people, then I'm continuing to sharpen what my accuracy is in, profiling the person properly, while also seeing all the nuances of how 100 different INFPs can show up while still using those same functions. So without further ado, check out the following profiling session. Have fun, trying to guess what personality type that the profilee is. Try to see the nuances, some things that might surprise you. And if you would like a profiling session yourself, be sure to hit me up at denzelmensah.com. All right, so let's get this popping. All right, cool. So the way this is going to go is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and it's going to be conversational. So there's no right or wrong answer. You can give as much detail as you like. And at the end, I'm going to present to you which of the 16 personality types I believe that you are, and why. And that'll be the time when you can tell me this doesn't quite fit, or oh, that fits perfectly, stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who pretty much decides what is the best fit type for you. Mm-hmm. I'm just supposed to mainly listen and make sure that you understand the system well enough. Does that make sense?
Okay, it does.
Cool. All right.
So this setup is kind of weird. Like his laptop is facing me, so if you see me looking up, I'm looking up at the wall, to see you. Because if I look at his projector, and it's up here. So I don't know. I just felt like I need to say that, because if you see me looking up like this, I'm looking at you. But if I'm looking here, then I'm just staring at the green dot that's on this laptop. But anyway,
no, that's good to know. I thought that you were I see clouds and stuff behind you. So
yeah, see, all of this is his setup, and so I'm just I'm looking around trying to get used to it, but I don't know. It just, to me, that would be weird. Like if I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody and I'm looking at them and they're looking around everywhere else. So no.
Yeah, no. I honestly though, I did think that you were just thinking. So
okay, nope, it's not even that. I'm looking at you on the projector. That's all.
Copy.
So that I'm not just talking to a green dot. But okay, I'm ready.
Awesome. All right, sounds good. So the first question I'm gonna ask you is a very open-ended question, which is, who is Shay? What does she do for work? Who is she as a person? If you don't mind, how old are you? Stuff like that.
No, that's fine. What year is this? 2022. So I'm about to turn 42, 41, retired military. Shay as a person is a sister, obviously a daughter, a wife, and an aunt. All those family like related ties. As an individual, she is a go-getter. She is an honest, hardworking Christian girl from Indiana who relocated to Georgia. She is curious. She is a challenge. She's a handful. I like talking about myself in third person.
Oh yeah, I like that. Okay. Jesus did too.
Huh?
I said Jesus did too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he always say, yeah, the Son of Man is hungry. Oh,
Mm.
okay. Oh, you're talking about yourself. Got you.
Right, right.
Okay. Go getter, hardworking, curious, a challenge.
Yeah.
What did you mean by challenge?
I feel like I'm a challenge just because I don't necessarily go with the flow. I do my own thing. I've always been that way.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Meaning that I consider myself to be a leader, even
Mm.
though I do very well at being a follower.
Got you. Got you. Got you.
But in
Okay.
order for me to balance the two, my leader side comes out a little bit more. So that within itself can often present a challenge,
I see.
not just to myself, but to others.
Yeah. 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 Okay. No, that's good. That's really good to break down. Um, what types of things do you find yourself being leader of?
People, people, decisions, um, people and decisions.
People and decisions. Okay. Cool. Um, when you're leading them, like, are you leading them like I guess I'm trying to find like are you leading them like with the cause in mind, or are you leading them like, to
Always, it's
certain character?
always to meet a common goal. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, how would um how would other people describe you, even if you disagreed with them?
Even if I disagree with them. Hmm. Bossy. Um. Calculated. Um. I'm folk. I would say kind-hearted, like super kind-hearted.
Mm, nice. Okay. Do you agree? Do you disagree with any of those?
I do. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
super kind. I'm not super kind-hearted.
Oh, that's funny. Why would you say that?
I have a kind heart, and I think a lot of people take things that I do for granted, or
Mm,
they think that I do things out the kindness of my heart, which I do. So to other people, it may come off as like, oh, she has the biggest heart, but there's a method
mm,
that
mm,
I process before I do things. So it's not always like from the heart.
mm. Okay, got you.
So it's like while I do know and believe that I am kind hearted, is
Hmm.
not to the degree that other people may think.
Got you. Do you like that they see you to think that you are to that degree, or?
I used to.
Mm,
I used to, not anymore. And that's probably why I strove to do more to
mhm.
please people. But then I reached a point where it's like, I don't, this is not me. And that's that part where I was saying, like, yes, I do have a kind heart, but it's not to the degree that most people would want or what they got used to. And so I had to pull back. So, yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. Would other people describe you as organized?
Very.
Gotcha. And you would also agree with that? Like you would describe yourself as organized?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if the latter is unorganized. Yeah.
Got it. Are you a detail-oriented person or more of like a big picture type of person?
Detailed.
And what makes you say that?
Because a lot of times I can see the big picture, but if I don't have the details of how to put that bigger picture together, then that bigger picture may not come to fruition. Not for me.
Got
So
it.
I need to understand it. And to me, that means I need details.
Yeah. That's cool. Okay. How would you describe how you were like as a child? And then, what your teachers might have said about you, parents, siblings, stuff
I
like
was very stubborn, very a high intellect for my age. I was always commended and awarded for just naturally doing good in school. I don't want to say I was a loner because I wasn't really a loner. It's just that I didn't like cliques. So I just was myself. I don't know how to describe that, but I was myself and people would hang around me. So I wasn't a loner, even though I was trying to be sometimes. What else can I say as a child? I was a bully to bullies. That's me in a nutshell.
Got it. Cool. Man, so many avenues to go from there. Yeah, no, I love it.
Well, good options.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, bully to bullies. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Easy. I didn't like kids who were bullied by bullies, but at the same token, I became a bully, but only to actual bullies. One, to give them a taste of their own medicine, and two, just to show them that like it's not cool.
Got it.
So that may have led to my characteristic of becoming a leader, just because I didn't like how some people were treated. And so I would go out of my way to stand up for them. So, like I said, I would end up being a bully, but not in the sense of what people would think as a bully, but at the same time, in every sense of a bully.
I love the intricacy. Were the people that you were trying to protect afraid of you?
No.
As well? Gotcha.
No.
Okay. Did they like run behind you for protection?
No.
Oh wow.
No.
So yeah, you just sought out the underdogs in a way.
Pretty much. I was not, like I said, I didn't like cliquey stuff. So just because, not just example, like if somebody was getting picked on and then I stepped in to stop the fight, that don't mean that that person that was getting picked on is now my friend. That's not how it works. I would not then just go out of my way to befriend them or create this relationship of any, like it wasn't like that. Like I literally would just go step in, and when it was over, it was over. People Some people would be appreciative.
Mm-hmm.
And some people would be like, I could have did that, Okay, cool.
Well, I did it for you.
Right. Um, but yeah, it wasn't one of those things where now it's like I'm a hero to kids in a playground setting, and now they all behind me. It wasn't like that. Mm-mm.
Got you, got you, got you. What drove you to do that? Like, did it make you feel good internally in any way, or?
Yes, it did. It made me feel like I was making change
Mm,
for the bullies one to stop. I felt like I was being a influencer to the kids who were being picked on, to show that, hey, somebody is on your side. Or I could even be looked at as an example of, okay, well, this is how I stand up for myself.
nice, nice. Okay, cool. All right. Well, going off of that, what would you say is something or things that you love to do? And when I say you love to do, I mean that you love to do so much. The only reason why you stop is because you're absolutely exhausted. Otherwise, you would go on indefinitely.
Travel,
Travel.
hands
Nice.
down.
Anything
And
else?
it's not even so much as being exhausted. It's more so because of COVID. um
Mm,
I have not decided to get the shot yet, and so when a lot of countries were shut down, to one, either the unvaccinated or just had so many limitations, that's what stopped me from going and doing. But now that things have opened back up, I can start back doing travel,
mm-hmm,
but I'm still not doing it,
mm,
um, because I'm hesitant due to the decision I made of not being vaccinated. I don't want to put
mm,
myself at unnecessary risk
yeah.
to enjoy doing something that, hands down, I absolutely enjoy.
No, I feel that. That makes total sense. Huh. Okay. Are there any other things that you love doing?
uh, I've been introduced over this past year and a half to investing in the stock
Mm,
market, and it's becoming a hobby, um, and it's something that I really enjoy. I wish I knew about it earlier
uh,
in life, because I think another path that I could have taken in life probably would have been down like a financial um, pathway,
yeah.
like as far as careers. Yeah, like a
You would.
financial advisor. I think I would have did well, because I enjoy just learning about the stock market and the myths of what not only myself, but I'll say Black people in
Mm-hmm,
general think about it and or thought about it.
mm, mm,
Yeah, a lot
interesting.
of it not true,
Interesting.
or ways around it. So Mm, but yeah, those I would say are my two top like go tos of what I enjoy:
Okay,
travel and investing.
got it. Um, well then going on the financial advisory route, like what would you say is like one or two of those myths that you've had dispelled?
That investing is hard,
Oh,
and it's not. On a simple level, it's literally just the stock market goes up and down.
mm-hmm.
That's true, but because of the amount of fear that the economy put just in different types of people about, if you put your money in the stock market, like you'll lose it all and you'll go broke, like that's a myth.
Oh, interesting.
That's a myth. And I feel like had I known, had that been something, being that I was, I guess you could say, like going back to how I describe myself as far as being intelligent, like as a child, had I known to just look a little deeper into that, then I feel like financial advisor would have been a way for me to free a lot of people financially.
Wow.
And a lot of the struggles that people have and that they go through, money does not solve problems by any means, but it does make life a little bit easier
Yeah.
to juggle.
Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely see that for you too, because you have that kind of approach, and especially being a more like detail oriented type of person, I can definitely see how like that would lead you into being able to see like, okay, even like down to like the smallest cent, like, oh, gotta
Right.
fix it this way, or like, oh, we missed this, we missed crossing that T, stuff like that. And I'm assuming that you also know how to like make money move, like you're good with like resource management.
Yes.
Mm, got you.
I'm actually going to school. Well, I'm on break right now. I've been taking a break for like the past month and a half for human resources.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, somewhat resource management. Yep. Actually, military wise, one of my jobs before I got out was in the aviation world, but that was the title of it, aviation resource manager. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
resource management. Yeah, it kind of
Wow.
goes in alignment like to what you just said. Yeah.
Okay. Dope. Okay. All right. Well, what are some things that are kind of like the opposite you hate doing? Um, yeah,
Things that I hate doing.
yeah. Like the moment that you have to do it, or you start doing it, and you just want to like pull your hair out.
Dang. I got to think about that one. Something that I hate doing, that I just don't want to do. The only, honestly, what's coming to my mind right now is not a thing to do. It's more so like when I think, oh, I hate XYZ, it's getting up early. Oh, I know something. I know something. Exercising, going to the gym.
Exercise. Ah.
Yeah. Going like I it's not to the degree like how you saying like hate, but that's
Mhm.
something that is like, oh, I hate. Like for me, I dread. I can't really
Mm,
think of anything, but I dread exercising. I don't really care for the gym. Like I'll do it, but I don't really feel like it. And I'm
right.
trying to think what else gives me those kind of emotions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anything else that might give you dread?
Being a problem solver for last minute crises.
Ah.
That will trigger me to pull my hair out. Yeah. We could put that one under hate. I just
Yeah.
had to think, I had to think about it, but yeah.
You really don't act well under pressure?
I act well under pressure if it's my pressure because I feel like I've already thought about it. But if
Mhm.
it's somebody else's pressure
Mm.
and I'm now being asked to help, like I don't like that.
Got
Not if it's last minute. Like
Mhm.
going back to the big picture,
Mhm.
I see the big picture, but
Mhm.
if I'm missing those detail parts, it's like, like I need time for this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, cool. What about travel do you love so much?
just being able to get away, experience new cultures. I feel like I've been here in America for all my life.
Mhm.
And when I joined the military and I went on my first few deployments overseas, I came back with more appreciation for
Mhm.
being an American. Not in the sense of being an American, but just having access. to different, I don't want to start using this word now because you said it, but access to different resources.
Yeah.
Like, I see a lot of people in other countries who make it, but at the same time, they go without, and it's not by choice. And then I started to understand why people would risk their life to come here for the same things that we complain about. And it's because they saw it as a way out of their struggles. And so when I would go to other places, a lot of times I found that I was more at peace, just within the environment. And then it kind of just gave me an escape from everyday life here. So, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Would you say that you're someone who's pretty adaptable to change?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And you've always been that way?
No.
No. What makes you say that?
No, because I think I changed once I joined the military. It wasn't, it was a requirement to a degree to be able to adapt to change. The reason why I say no prior to that is because prior to that, my environment was my environment. There was no change. It was more of a expectation where A, B, C, D happens, then you can pretty much, 90% of the time know that E, F, G, H, like, is just gonna keep going a certain way. And so there wasn't a lot of change there for me to adapt to. But when I joined the military, there was a lot of change and a lot of adapting that presented itself. It could be in the form of just dealing with other people, because you now have this pool of individuals from all around the world with all different type of backgrounds and experiences. And so for me, having to adapt my understanding of, say, people in general, I couldn't rely just on one understanding. I had to adapt with the change of the military environment
Yeah.
in order to achieve that big picture of my new peers.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, I would now love to know about your relationship with your emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the word? Exchange. That ain't no word.
Estranged?
Yeah, but when I say it, it doesn't sound like I'm saying it right. It's hit or miss. But that's fine. We can talk about it.
Okay, cool. So what would you tell me about it? So you said it's hit or miss. How else would you describe your relationship with them?
Internal. Brutally honest. Non-judgmental are some different ways I would describe my emotions.
Are you in tune with them?
I don't think as much as I used to be, no.
What changed?
The military lifestyle.
Interesting. So the Shay before the military, could you describe her to me? And then Shay post military? Like how that changed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Shay before the military was much more outgoing, was much more go with the flow. Even though Shay pre-military was younger and Shay post-military is older, that base level of Shay, I would say, changed like in those departments, just being more easygoing pre-military, post-military more serious. Post-military, you get kind of serious Shay. Still a comedian, still playful and jokey, but there's an undertone of like seriousness that is much stronger than pre-military Shay.
Got it. Okay, I see.
And
that,
so when you said, I'm sorry not to cut you off,
no,
but that's what came to mind when you said like, how in tune are you like with your emotions? It's like, it depends on which Shay I'm dealing with. Not that I have split personalities, but there's a easygoing Shay and there's a serious side of Shay. And they got emotions to match each.
Got it. Okay, cool. So what would you say has always remained the same, both post and pre-military with Shay?
They both are achievers. They both get it done. They both figure it out.
Nice. Are you someone who's more likely to accomplish some, well, not accomplish. Are you someone who's more likely to act too soon or act too late?
Too late.
Yeah? What makes you say that?
Because in my thought process, if I feel like I'm acting too soon, then that means I don't have enough information. So a lot of times if I'm waiting on information, if the information is not something for me to say gather myself, or even if it is for me to gather myself, then by the time I get enough information that's satisfying to me, it can be too late for XYZ. So I would just say I would tend to lean more towards too late versus too soon.
Got you. Are you someone who's pretty good at being able to finesse when you are acting a little bit too, yeah.
I wish. Because I think I would have went like further just in my interpersonal relationships, but because I have a what people would call just bluntness to me, it's hard to finesse anything because that bluntness a lot of times shuts any type of finessing down.
What about finessing situations?
As far as
Like, so if you're trying to like accomplish a task and you acted too soon, are you like able to improvise throughout that situation to be able to be like, okay, I got this? Or is it like the bane of your existence? Like, man, like I really just should have started this. I really should have just waited for information because now I'm screwed.
It's not the latter. No, because I always wait on information.
Okay. Got you. Okay. Got it. Well, I'm curious, what is something or things that are very obvious to you, but not usually obvious to other people? And then something or things that usually is obvious to other people, but then it's always like, Shay, how are you never noticing when this happens? Or when, yeah, stuff like that.
Stuff that's obvious to me is stuff that's done in plain view, plain sight. And then you said the other half of the question is the opposite of like what I don't see. What don't I see? I'm trying to think of something that like something that got me and it's like, oh, I should have saw that. What's coming to mind is back to the stock market. It could be, I could consider it a learning lesson or maybe not, because a lot of people like, oh, well, you should have saw that because it was right there. So my example with this is big picture. Big picture wise, I'm losing money, right, in the market. But because I have this new understanding of how I interpret the market to work, meaning you'll lose money and you'll make money, instead of me getting rid of stocks that were losing me money, where it's like other people can see it and it's something that I should have saw, but I didn't. I held on to those stocks. Even though day to day I saw them going down, but there were also days where they would come back up. But had I zoomed out and looked at the big picture, then I would have known that even though there were a lot of days where the price may have been coming back up, it's something that I should have caught and that I missed because I was too focused on in the moment and not the big picture.
Makes perfect sense. Okay. Going off of that, when it comes to very conceptual, philosophical, and abstract concepts or conversations, who or what role do you play in those? Like, are you usually the leader of those conversations? Are you just a listener? Do they annoy you? Are they fascinating to you? Stuff like that.
Well, in order for me to define the role that I play in any conversation, I definitely would need to know like who I'm talking to. So, for example, if I'm talking to my nephew, I'm the leader. If
Sense.
I'm talking to my brother, I'm the listener. If I'm talking to Aaron, I'm both. So I'm not. I don't know how to answer that one.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
maybe that was my answer. I don't know.
No, that was a good answer in and of itself. Just like how you approached it that way. Uh, well, how do you feel about such topics in general?
How do I feel about like abstract
Yeah,
conversations?
abstract and philosophical
Um,
conversations.
I like abstract conversations to a degree because of my curiosity. And I like learning new things. So just having that, well, having a conversation like without borders can help me learn and expand. The same I can honestly say about having like say the word for me. Physiological.
Oh, physiological.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that word. Almost the same concept because I find that sometimes I think outside the box. And so I could find interest in it some way, somehow, because it'll give me something, even if I don't understand it, I can try to figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, then once again, learning lesson for me to ask questions on, okay, well, what does that mean? Or how does that connect with this?
Right, right. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Well, in order from greatest to least of how much you think
Greatest to
about the
least.
following, uh, yeah, how would you rank these? Future, past, present.
Future, past, present. Which one I think about more?
Yeah, the
Greatest
most to from greatest to
to
least.
least.
Yeah.
The greatest that I think about, future.
Mm.
And then between my past and my present, which one do I think about more? Future, present, past.
Mm. And why would you put it in that order?
Because the things that I do today, I'm doing it for the future.
Mm.
And in order for me to do the things for the future, I have to be present in my today.
Mm-hmm.
My today is based off of my past.
That's a good way to put that. Did you just come up with that on the spot?
Yeah, I had no. You just asked me, so yeah, I
I was
had
just
to try to
making
make sure
sure.
I had it in order, like past, greatest to least. Okay.
Yeah, you said it so smoothly. I was like, "Oh, has she said this before?" Like
No.
my past. I don't even remember what you just said. Like you just put it so eloquently. But I like that. Okay. Um, knowing that everyone is a unique individual,
Mm-hmm.
um, would you say that you are like most other people? Like, yeah, or would you say that you feel a little bit alien from other people?
Dang. Mm, I feel like I'm a mixture
Mm,
because even mixture. I don't feel alien from other people,
mm,
but I don't feel that I'm just so unique either. Like
mm,
I just feel like I'm average. Like I
mm,
don't have any, like what makes uniqueness to me is people with um skills that most people don't have. Like so the way you describe some stuff that I feel like comes natural, and I said that it's kind of like things that are done right then and there, like in the present, in the moment, right?
mm,
Hiding in plain sight. That's the way we used to put it um in the military. Things that's usually hidden in plain sight to other
yeah.
people. So to some people that would be a skill, or that's something that makes me unique. For
Mm,
me, I don't feel like that's a uniqueness that sets me apart from anybody.
mm,
So I don't fit because I don't feel like I have any type of uniqueness to me. I feel like I'm just average. And being
mm,
average also means that I'm not alien to
mm.
other people either. It's a happy medium.
Got it. Okay. What gains your respect for people?
What gains my respect from people? My honesty and my willingness to not judge,
Hmm.
especially when I'm in a like listening type of
Hmm.
situation.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's a really good trait to just listen and people not see you as judgmental in that way.
Yeah. So I think because of that, people like me.
Nice. And what makes you like someone?
Honesty, bluntness. I don't like secrecy. I
Hmm.
don't like to figure it out, even if I feel like I can, if I'm dealing with people, I don't like to have to figure it out. So I like honest people.
Yeah. You don't really like reading between the lines and stuff like that.
No, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, even if I feel like if I have to, then I question why.
Right. Yeah.
Why? But what was I about to say? I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. I was gonna say, so then, so like, how do you feel when people start speaking in parables and riddles? Kind of like, once again, like how
Oh
you.
my God, that. Like some of it is straightforward and like I can, catch on to it and get it. But so when you just said that, how I said I just got introduced to the investing world.
Right.
There's a guy, his name is Mark. He's
Mhm.
around my age. He's a African American billionaire,
Mhm.
and he is on a quest to educate other African Americans on the stock market. But he
Mhm.
doesn't just want to give people the answer, he wants to teach them. But in his teachings, they're riddles. So when you just said that word riddle, I immediately thought about him because it's like his riddles. I don't even know where to begin with them a lot of times. Like, and it's like it's cool on one hand because it makes me try to figure it out. But
Uh-huh.
on the other hand, it can be discouraging because it's like I don't know where he's going with this. Like I would rather can I just learn how to make money like without having to figure out which one came first, the egg or the chicken? Like what does that have to do with money, so yeah,
That's perfect.
riddles, I don't know. Jokes I could
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, like
Riddles,
like the Riddler
hmm,
from Batman.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if it's dumbed down like elementary riddles, and
Oh,
then I
oh,
feel like I can solve it, then obviously that's a confidence booster.
yeah.
But yeah, real riddles, like wow, okay. Now I'm trying to analyze every word
Mhm.
to try to see if that's what makes the big picture. Is it one word that kind of has nothing to do with this entire riddle,
Yeah.
that I'm getting stuck on? And if I can unstick myself from this one word, then I can figure it out. Like
Mhm.
it goes all the way left field, and riddles will cause me to think too much. Yeah, that's what I think about riddles.
Got you. That was very helpful. Much obliged. Um, all right. I'm seeing where I can go from there. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay. How would you say that you're like when it comes to routine?
Routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, redundant to a
Redundant.
point. Yeah. Yeah, redundant. My routine is pretty much just that, a routine.
Okay. So you don't really like routine, or?
I do like it because I know what's expected.
Mhm.
But um, routine can get boring because it's expected.
Mm.
Don't tell Vince this. I know you said you gonna show me his stuff, and which means you may show him mine's. But this is a example that comes to mind when I say that. But it produced better results for me that I was able to live with. So the routine And my thought process right now was, when we first met, he liked to cook. That was the routine, that he liked to cook. Problem is, I like to cook too, but when I cook something different every day. When he cooked, it was more like you were on a meal plan. And to me, that's routine. That's what a meal plan is. Like, you cook for the week and you eat the same thing every day. That's routine. So to me, it became expected. I know what I'm gonna eat tomorrow. Why? Because it's leftovers from today. But in that, we both were able to get outside the box of it being routine and different every day. Meaning, so now what he does, he still cooks, but if it's okay, so this is Saturday. We'll be starting a new week on Monday, but each week is like a different type of protein week. So if it's fish week, right? Instead, the way it used to be was he would cook enough fish to last that entire week. Well, now he'll cook the fish. He buys the fish for the week, but every night it's a different flavor, a different type of fish. So that way I don't feel like I'm eating the same thing every day, even though routinely I am eating the same thing every day. So I'm good with routine. Just incorporate some change in there, if that makes sense.
Makes 100% sense.
Okay.
All right. Would you say that you're someone who would be able to handle, like, what's the word? I'll just say numerous sources of income type of business thing?
Numerous sorts. So like just multitasking, just different finances.
Yeah.
Like for myself, or
No,
like
for
as a
yourself.
business.
Yeah, no, for yourself.
For
Like having,
myself,
like,
yes,
different sources of income, like 3, 4 different types of just ways of getting money and managing all 4
yes,
of them. Yeah?
yeah, yes.
Got you. What makes you say that?
Because I currently do it
Oh,
for
hey.
myself.
True. Right,
For
right, right.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to specify between myself or like as a business for other people, because I do it for myself with ease. But I feel like if I was to do it for other people or like as a business, then I would overcomplicate it, because I would be trying so hard to like perfect it, because I wouldn't want to like lose um somebody else's stream of income, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I don't want to mess nobody else up, but if it's me, then hey, I'll be the guinea pig, for myself.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable um experimenting with yourself in that way?
Like with finances,
Yeah,
or
or just like anything in general. Yeah, like doing things that are, like, I guess not
if
as.
I feel like I have an understanding of it, then
Mm,
I will.
got you.
Yeah, then I
Got you.
will.
Got you. How long does it usually take to have, like, an understanding for you to be able to feel like, all right, now let me be a little bit flexible and playful and experiment?
With money, about a month.
Okay.
But that's literally if I'm in like deep studies every day and I'm literally trying to learn the process of whatever it is I'm about to experiment. I find that when I just jump straight in, just off of the say basis of somebody else's homework or somebody else's understanding, that's when I lose.
Mm, mm,
That's when I
okay.
lose.
I see. Got you.
Even if I understand the concept, if I just take that leap because I'm like, oh well, they did it, or it looks easy, that's when I lose.
Okay. What would you say is something that you had to learn the hard way?
Exactly what I just said, as far as feeling like I have a understanding or something, but jumping the gun because um jumping the gun because big picture I get, but smaller level I didn't get. What's coming to my head right now and what I'm trying to describe, and is dealing with money. I don't know if you heard of that circle. I don't even remember the name of it. That's how I know I shouldn't even been in it. It was like a flower circle or something. Like, you give somebody $500 and then they all basically put it in a pool, and then it goes to a person, and then like each month everybody who put into that pool is able to receive
all of the money
back. Yeah, like that, right? So I got the concept, right? I understood the concept. I understand the big picture. I can see how this works. What I didn't take into consideration is that if at any time the person who receives that big pool, if they don't put back into that pool, then everybody else is going to come up short, and eventually somebody is going to be left holding the bag. And in this case, when you ask me a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, this is that lesson. Because I saw the pool being paid out. I saw that it was a working plan. But the lesson that I learned was that I still lost. I still was left holding the bag. I put 500 in and didn't get anything back.
Right.
That's a hard lesson to learn. I just gave somebody $500. And I did it off of the strength of the person who introduced me to it. There was a level of respect, as far as they wouldn't set me up for failure.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could trust this.
Yeah.
If it's that person, then the people in this circle are, to a degree, I don't know them, but because I know this person who's bringing me into it, there's, I guess you can go back to a level of trust there that I expected, because I understood how it worked. But it was still a hard lesson to learn because I lost.
Dang.
I lost. I was left holding the bag. And at the end of the day, it was my decision to give the money. So I couldn't hold anybody accountable except myself.
Yeah.
The outcome of that was I no longer trusted this person. And it wasn't even really about a trust factor. It was more so, I can't expect for this. My expectations for that person lowered. Like, I went into it thinking that this person wouldn't set me up for failure, when that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was now, do I chop off at this point, I think it had been maybe like somewhere between 5 to 8. I wouldn't even call it really a friendship, but it was a close association. And, just chalk up my loss for what it is? Or do I chalk up my loss and then, keep the association going, voice my opinion? I chose to clip the association, where the old Shay, she would have voiced her opinion, but she would have kept that connection. This see. Shay, deuces.
You cost me $500.
Right, but it's not you cost me $500, because if I'm brutally honest with myself, that person didn't cost me the $500. I cost myself that $500.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's where I'm saying where it kind of comes down to accountability. I'm definitely more accountable for what I do when it comes to myself and my decisions. And that's why I like to be super informed about the decisions that I make, because at the end of the day, it's my decision. I can't say, oh, I did it because of this person. Yeah, they influenced it, but ultimately, when it came down to pressing that send button, I did that.
Yeah, and it's good that you're able to take accountability in that way and understand, like, this is where this was totally my decision and how everything went down. I like that you're able to separate that from the situation, but I also understand what you mean too. Like, you trusted this person, and even though they did not have like ill intentions, it still messed you over to an extent. And so
but they did. I learned, and that's what I'm saying. When you learn stuff after the fact, and you just have to chalk it up as a lesson learned. I feel like they did have ill intentions, because the person who they paid was somebody who gave, say, this other person, right? They gave their last 500 because they really, really needed this 5,000 or whatever it was for the payout. So that person put all their trust in her and this circle, right? But what ended up happening is, payouts, I think, were supposed to happen weekly, a different person every week or something. I don't really remember. But say this person was expecting a payout at the end of the week, and now here it is 2 months later, 3 months later. The person who brought me in off desperation. They saw an opportunity of, okay, like, Shay's pretty good with money. It wouldn't really hurt her. Meanwhile, like, we'll get it back, like, I'm not really setting her up for failure, but right now this person is kind of threatening me. I have to get them that pool of money, so let me tap into my resources. So while it wasn't intentional to take money from me, maybe the intent could have been, I need to get this person their money back because they're going without, and then I'll work on getting Shay her money back later. I get it, but it's like, no matter how you twist it, I was still influenced the way I was influenced. And my decision was influenced, regardless of a third person's reasoning for why they did something. So yeah, I do still feel like it was intentional to a degree, because they needed to make sure that they paid somebody back, but it wasn't intentional to just take from me. If that makes sense. But it didn't make it okay for me, even though I take accountability for, me joining. It still didn't make it. It didn't sit right with me. Like, that's not somebody I want in my circle, especially if I'm giving them that type of authority to influence my decision. So that's why I decided to cut them loose.
Got you. Yeah, that makes 100% sense. Do you ever miss that person, or
no? Because they wasn't like I said, a close friend like that. It was like, it was a military relationship that continued post-military.
That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes total sense. Yeah, that's very helpful. See, I'm just circling the drain here, but
no worries.
Yeah. Let me actually ask a little bit about this. How are you like when it comes to other people's emotions? Like, if they, if they're dealing with something tough and they come to you about it and everything, like, are you good at being able to sense, like, are you able to like read the room, sense when somebody's feeling bad or whatever? And then, like, how do you respond to that?
Generally, I am. able to pick up when something is off. And if it's brought directly to me, I feel like I do great in that department because I'm able to either respond or listen directly because it was brought to me directly. But if it's just something that I sense is going on and I don't know for sure because the person hasn't said anything, I may ask like generalized questions. But if I have to kind of push the narrative or push the questions, then I'm not. Because one of the things that I found is that if a person want to talk to me, they gonna talk to me.
Right.
And if they don't, then they won't. And sometimes it's not even about whether or not they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to talk about whatever it is at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's word.
So,
That's word.
but I usually can read the room, but there have been times where I read the room incorrectly, where there, was stuff going on and I didn't know whether or not it was because I didn't want to see it or I didn't want to believe it. I didn't know. I ain't see it.
I see. Cool. So knowing that everyone in life is kind of running away from something or deals with something, is the feeling the most uncertain with something, what would you say yours would be?
Running away. I know that to be fact. I didn't know it when I was doing it, but I can say it now, like without a doubt, because um, back when I discovered my deployments, right? So I was stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, right? The military had this program to where you could swap bases, meaning if you lived in Idaho and you were ready to leave, you could go to a website and you can request to go to Charleston, South Carolina. If I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and I don't know, I like outdoorsy stuff and I want to go to Idaho, I could do the same thing. And then the military would basically allow us to swap locations, right? But obviously we had to be doing the same job because nobody wants to be shorter guy.
Yeah.
But there was a point in while I was in Charleston where I wanted to leave, like, because that's what I do. I travel. That's what I enjoy. And what I started finding were those deployments were a way for me to, one, enjoy travel, but two, enjoy it on the dime of Uncle Sam. Where was I going with that though? I hate when I lose my thought. What was your question? So that I can
running away.
Running away. Why I pick running away? Okay, so going on those deployments allowed me to get away. That was the phrase that was in my mind. That's what I thought I was doing. After my third deployment, meaning every year I was gone 8 months out the year, right? When I would come back, there was a supervisor who stopped me in the hallway and said, "Hey, welcome back. Why do I see your name on the next rotation leaving out?" And I was like, "Thank you. I volunteered to leave back out because the place that the team was going, it was to a nice place. It was to Qatar. I never been to Qatar. So to me, that was an opportunity. There was somebody that I supervised, a guy, he was going to be having his first child. If he went on his deployment, he would miss the birth of his child. So yes, even though I just got back, I've already signed up to leave again to take his spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that, what does that have to do with your question, right? It comes back to, that was my thought process. My supervisor asked me, he said, "What are you running away from?" I said, "What? I'm not running away from nothing. I'm going because this guy needs to see the birth of his child. XYZ, everything that I just explained to you."
Right.
He said, "Oh, I thought you were running away from something." No, I'm not. Right? Say that was in like 2007 or 8, I think. Fast forward to say 2017, maybe 10 years or so later. Ask me that same question again, and you get the answer that you just got. Which one would you pick? And the answer would be running away. My thought process at the time, I was not running away. I was just traveling on Uncle Sam's dime. But in reality, I was absolutely running away. I was running away because I was tired of being in Charleston. And then I would use those runaways, those escapes, to get away from Charleston. And after being deployed for, say, 6 to 8 months, I go back to Charleston. And so if I didn't pretty much care for, when I found that whenever I would come back, let me backtrack. Whenever I would be deployed, remember I told you when I travel, I kind of find peace, right?
Yes.
So when I come back and it's like, "Hey, Shay, I need help paying my rent this month." Now I know I have money because I haven't paid bills for 6 to 8 months, but they know that too. "Shay, I need this. Shay, I need that. Shay, can you help me with this? Shay, 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 Shay." Okay, yes, I can, and I will. But then after a few months, I get burnt out. And the only way that I can get away from that burnt out feeling and go recharge myself and find a little bit more peace, I quote unquote, I run away.
Right.
And I go overseas for 6, 8 months. Right? But had you asked me that, which one would I pick 10 years ago? I definitely wouldn't have picked run away the same way I didn't pick run away when it was asked to me directly in the hallway.
Wow.
What are you running away from? I'm not running away from anything. But now, look how I answered that when you asked me which one would you pick, running away.
Right.
I realized that's what I was doing. Yeah.
That's deep. No, that's really deep. And I love the way that you tied all of that together, because that put a lot of the puzzle that was just, going through my head together. And so, yeah, I feel pretty confident about what personality type you are. I'm just going to ask one more question, just to see, how you would respond to it. So I'm giving you 2 nightmare situations right now.
Nightmare. Okay.
Yeah. There. So the first nightmare is an island that you are on by yourself for 3 to 4 weeks, and you get all the food, you get all of the internet, Netflix, whatever that's there. But the only catch is that you are unable to communicate with anyone off of that island for that whole 3 to 4 weeks. So no texting, nothing. Or 3 to 4 weeks spent in a house with all of your loved ones. But the only thing with that is that you don't get any alone time except for, when you're using the bathroom or something. Which one is more of a nightmare for you?
Family, in the house with the family.
Yeah. Why is that?
Just because I would never get any alone time.
And how do you spend that alone time, by the way?
Recently, sleep. Um, in the mornings, sleeping. But as a motivation factor to get me up, since I don't work, is the stock market. And you have to pay attention to what's going on. You have to be able to focus.
Yeah.
If I cannot focus due to, like you say, a house full of, people, family members,
Right.
whoever, for whatever reason, when you described that scenarios, you just said family. But in my mind, it was a bunch of children running around and they loud as I don't know what, right? So I don't even know if my decision was just based off like a house full of screaming kids, or I didn't even put myself in the house with adults, like quiet adults.
Yeah.
Because that would have made a difference. Like if you in the house, family members are not, and it's like everybody is quiet, who is to say that those family members aren't seeking a long time of their own? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, all of y'all are in the house, but what if everybody is in their room? Like, I don't know. But in my mind, when you ask, I don't know. I was in the house with a bunch of like young kids screaming and hollering. And so that alone time was the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's what did it, because you said to go to the bathroom. That would be, the only time. But
Gotcha.
yeah.
It's actually interesting that you say that, because I think that that's actually the living situation that me and Jamila are in right now. Like,
It's a bunch of running kids around.
no.
Oh crap! I was like, oh dang, y'all didn't say that the other day.
Yeah, no. It's me, Jam, and then three other people. They're all guys, and one of them even has a girlfriend who's always usually here too. But everyone pretty much like just like last night we all went out to eat and we watched a
Okay.
movie and everything, and it was great. And then when it was time to go to sleep, we went to sleep. But
I
when
guess
like
that's a little different though. For
yeah,
you, in comparison to your question, because you said the only alone time I would get would be if I was in the bathroom.
oh yeah, for
Y'all
sure,
get to
yeah.
come back and still retreat.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
So
That I was just saying, because you said like, oh, what if everyone wanted their alone time? That's what made me think of that, because it's like, yeah, everyone kind of goes into their rooms at times and
right.
everything. They're just, even with me and Jamila, like obviously, like we share a room, but sometimes like I'll be here, like everyone kind of knows that this is my office space in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another living room over there with one guy. He'll be playing video games. Somebody will be in their room. Another person might be in the kitchen, whatever. And we just seamlessly move. But then we have a group chat. So then if we're all gonna do something together, then we can like say, "Yo, this is what we're about to get into," and
Okay.
then boom. So yeah. But no, like I said, for yours it was gonna be a nightmare situation. So in that
Yeah.
context, they wouldn't be wanting alone time. They would all
Right.
be
Okay.
constantly around you all the time.
And that's why the kids came to mind, because I feel like they would be the ones who nonstop would, be trying to take up all my time. And literally the only time I can get away is if I go to the bathroom.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Well, I think, like I said, that I know which personality type that you are.
Cool.
Um, and so we're going to go through the verification process. I'm going to share my screen so that you'll be able to follow along with me, because it gets a little bit complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll
Oh,
send
is
you.
that why Vincent told me to take notes?
Yeah.
Can't be a pen and pad. I'm like, what I need that for?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, especially because it does get a little bit abstract. But I try to like explain it in a very, very simple way.
Okay.
Even though you can only make it as simple as you can, because it's like, yeah. But I'm also going to send you the recording of this when we're done, so that
Okay.
way, yeah, you'll be able to catch it. But the personality type that I believe that you are is ESTJ. personality type. So these are called the dichotomies. So you see like the four-letter code over there, and
Yep.
each dichotomy has like an opposite letter. So we're gonna run through those, and this is what most people know about when they take like the Myers-Briggs like online or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole other world to this where all of the meat is actually held. So that's what I'm going to explain to you in a minute. But first, we'll run through the dichotomies. So the first dichotomy is E versus I. E stands for extroverted, I stands for introverted. Now, for
Mm-hmm.
this one, it's a little bit tricky, especially for your type. A lot of people usually define extroversion and introversion as, oh, where do you get your energy from? From being around people or from being alone? The more accurate way is to define extroversion versus introversion is where do you focus your energy.
Right.
So there are extroverts who do get their energy from being alone, but they focus their energy on the external world of like,
Right.
getting things done, or maybe like ideas or visceral experiences even, which have nothing to do with other people. And then there are extroverts who are more interpersonally focused and stuff like that. And then you have the introverts who are more focused on their internal world, like whatever their theories might be, or their impressions or their core values, things of that nature. But even then, with all of these dichotomies, everyone is an extrovert and everyone's an introvert. Everyone's a sensor, everyone's an intuitive, everyone's a thinker, everyone's a feeler. It just
Right.
depends on where it's ranked. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit more. But for
Okay.
you, I do deem you to be someone who's more focused on the external world, even though you are quite introverted. I mean, as in, like,
Like as a person, I'm
socially.
introverted, but
Yes,
okay.
exactly. Yeah. Would you agree with that so far?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Now, the second dichotomy is sensing versus intuition. So, an N would stand for intuition. So, for sensor types, they like things that are factual, reliable, verifiable, pretty much, and consistent. Whereas for intuitive types, they like to play a lot of the guessing and the speculating. They like to look at what's behind the curtain a lot of times. They focus more on the big picture. They can often speak in riddles and parables and stuff like that. Um, I think that you are a little bit good at both of these, and we're going to talk about why that might be. However,
Okay.
I think that your most go to is your sensing function. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Now, third is T versus F. So T stands for thinker and F stands for feeler. Thinkers make decisions based off of metrics, what makes sense, what's going to get the job done, and essentially, like, what works and what doesn't work. Whereas feelers often make decisions based off of like their own core values or how it's going to affect other people interpersonally. And essentially, like, just what their feelings might be or what other people's feelings might be, etc. I think that you make your decisions more based off of like thinking preferences. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. And then last but not least, there's judging versus perceiving. So J versus P. So judgers are the people who have their world pretty organized and structured. They like to know what's going on so that they can, like, keep on top of that. And the more that they can keep their external world organized, then they can explore their internal world like more freely. Whereas like for perceiver types, they have their internal world free. I mean, like they have their internal world more organized, so that way their external world could be what they just move around like more freely. So like Aaron, for example, he's a perceiver type. So for him, he like said that how he knows where everything is for himself, but somebody might walk into his office space and be like, where is everything? Like they might not see the organization. Whereas like for judger types, they usually have everything organized, even for anybody who could just walk in, because
All right.
they want to have like that freedom in their mind. Would you agree with that for yourself?
Yes.
All right, cool. So now this is the second part out of the three. So what I just explained to you was the dichotomies, like I said. Now what I'm going to talk to you about is the mental processes. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, but bear with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, and that may answer a question just that came to mind. So I agree with the personality type, obviously, but is this next part you're going to explain why they are in the order that they are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, for this, every personality type has four mental processes, which is different from the dichotomies that I just showed you.
Okay.
There are eight mental processes in total, and these mental processes are called cognitive functions. So, like I said, so there's eight cognitive functions in total, and each personality type of the 16 gets four of them.
Okay.
And last but not least, each of these four are broken into coins. So, for example, and it's going to become more clear in a moment when I show you the next image, the driver and the 3-year-old are one coin. So the driver is like could be like heads, the 3-year-old could be tails. Same with the co-pilot and the 10-year-old. They're also one coin. So
Okay.
heads, tails. Yeah. And your driver is your strongest function. It's the function that you live in, your greatest talent. It puts you in flow, all of that. It just comes so naturally to you. And if it's an extroverted process or an extroverted attitude, then your co pilot, which is your second strongest talent, is going to be an introverted attitude so that it
Okay.
balances things out. And then in that same sequence, your 10-year-old is going to be an extroverted attitude to match with your driver. And then your 3-year-old is going to be an introverted attitude to match with your co pilot. So then technically, everyone has two extroverted processes and two introverted processes. Or
Yeah,
if they're an introvert, two introverted processes, which would be the driver and the 10-year-old, and two extroverted processes. Does that make sense?
it does.
Awesome. Cool. So now this will be the last part where I explain everything. So for you as an ESTJ, your driver function would be a function called extroverted thinking. The nickname for it is effectiveness by Personality Hacker. So this function or this mental process is all about getting things done. It's all about focusing on, okay, what works, what doesn't work, how can I problem solve, how can I go, like how can I pretty much accomplish the task that's at hand. It's just focusing on how to get from point A to point B at any means necessary. And a lot of times this can also involve, like being able to place people in the right position, delegating tasks. For example, knowing like, okay, you're going to be good at this, you're going to be good at that. This is the part of you that, like you said, that you're a leader, you're more of like a take charge type of person. And this is why you're able to like help people to be able to be like, okay, this is where you go, this is what you do, whatever, in that sense. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think that
I
that's
can agree
also,
with that.
yeah, I would say this is also why you consider yourself to be a go-getter and you're hardworking, and then also sometimes can be seen as even bossy by other people, but then you're also very organized because this could be an aggressive function or come off aggressively at
Right.
times. But at the end of the day, especially like with women, women aren't usually seen as thinkers in that way, or like thinker women are not as common. And so I feel like that could have probably been something like maybe that's why you said like you feel different, but you also at the same time do not feel like that unique in a way.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, for the second function that you have, it would be a function called introverted sensing. The nickname for it is memory. Now, for memory, as your co pilot, it's pretty much paying attention to details and it's looking for what is consistent in a way. So, this function is pretty much like looking at all of the stuff in a zoomed in lens. And it's kind of going in contrary with its flip side coin, which is that extroverted intuition or exploration
Mm-hmm.
10-year-old. So, now we're going to talk about that coin over here. So, for memory, memory can be described as like someone who, let's say, if they baked cookies for a Christmas party, right?
Okay.
And they did it in a very specific way, and everyone loved it. Now that person's memory function could be like, okay, since they all loved my Christmas cookies, then next year I'm gonna bake it the exact same way because they all loved it, and
Right.
then they're just gonna keep on doing it, and then that's how something becomes a tradition in a way.
Right.
But the exploration flip side coin of it, that's where it might come in like, oh, well, how about this time you add sprinkles or you do this or you do that or you do that? Like it wants some more flavor to everything.
Yeah.
And memory likes like stay in like a safe spot. So for you in your extroverted thinking, like being an ESTJ, ESTJs, like all types, they tend to do this thing called looping. Now, a loop is when you skip your co-pilot function and you go to your 10-year-old function in a way.
Okay.
So the reason why this happens is because we like to stay in our attitude. So if we're an extroverted type, then we would have our driver extroverted function and our 10-year-old extroverted function always being in an extroverted loop, whereas the co-pilot is trying to find a way to get us to introvert. And
Right.
then if we're in an introverted type, then we can be in this introverted driver, introverted 10-year-old loop, whereas the co-pilot is trying to get you to extrovert.
Right.
So in your case as an ESTJ, you would be looping with your effectiveness driver and your 10-year-old exploration. And this could look like pretty much how you are jumping the gun from understanding a bigger picture. Like your exploration's like, oh no, I get it, in a way.
Right.
Then your memory is like, wait, I don't think that we get it. But then, effectiveness is like, oh no, we can handle this. And then next thing you know, you like pretty much like jump the gun, and then you're like, oh shoot, maybe we should have waited for more details from memory. And memory is like, you think, like I
Right.
understand you guys thought that you understood the big picture, but exploration, you're a 10-year-old. Like
Yeah.
and 10-year-olds, they do understand enough, like
Right.
they're smart, but you don't want the 10-year-old driving the car.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now, the more that the memory is able to actually speak up and give the details to effectiveness, then that's when we can bring in 10-year-old to be like, okay, now I can add a little bit of my flavoring to be able to do different things. So that's also the part of you as well that because we tend to go to our 10-year-old in times of play.
Right.
So that's the part of you that, when you like to just go off and explore like different places and everything like that, and you're enjoying life, and like you just love to travel, and you just love to like get out of routine in a way. And it's like, oh man, Aaron like is, he used to cook the same thing, but now even though he's still cooking the same thing, memory, at least he's like making it seem like he's not cooking the same thing.
Right.
Exploration, because he's
Yeah.
adding this a little, he's like changing it up a little bit. So I like routine memory, but when you have to spice it up a little bit, I like that a little bit too. Exploration.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yep.
Cool. And now the final function in the ESTJ stacking is introverted feeling. It's also known as authenticity. Now, this function is pretty much all about asking yourself, how does this make me feel? How did that make me feel?
Mm-hmm.
What are my core values? What do I stand for? This is the part of you that I believe makes you go like really enjoy protecting the underdog, because you see these people, you have like a care for these types of people. You have a value for, hey, we shouldn't bully people. We shouldn't treat people. We should not treat people unrightfully in this way. But then at the same time, because it's still a 3-year-old and everything, I think that this goes back to like the flip side coin with the effectiveness. It's like
Right.
you were just trying to get something done, which was like, hey, I just stopped this situation with the bully and everything like that. But that was it. It stops there. We're not friends. Like I just wanted to accomplish something real quick and then move on my way. And you said, yeah, it makes me feel good, which is that 3-year-old. Whenever you do something like that, then your 3-year-old is like, oh, I like this. It made me feel good in some sort of way or some sort of fashion. but it wasn't with the motivation to make a friend. It was actually more the motivation of your driver to accomplish a task, which was to make sure that you stop bullying, because your driver effectiveness is connected to your core value and your authenticity. And your authenticity is like, I stand for, I don't stand for bullies. I don't stand for this, that. I think this is also why you said that your emotions are hit or miss, and they're internal. As you can see, introverted feelings and introverted function. So it's like internal, and you can be like brutally honest with them in a way, but then also like kind of like non-judgmental. People of your type tend to see things very black and white a lot of times. But then as they continue to grow older and as they continue to experience different things with that exploration function and everything, then they start to see like, oh, you know what? The world has a lot of color. And
Right.
because of that, now I'm able to not be as judgmental in this situation as I probably would have been maybe a few years ago. Now,
Right.
with your situation, I feel like the military could have probably played a little bit of a part in that, as well. And I think that also might have helped you like expand your view while at the same time making you a little bit more serious. And so
Yeah.
it's like an interesting thing because it brought more color to you, your worldview with the exploration and all the stuff that you did. But then it still just made you a little bit like more serious and like stoic with the behavior and the way that you might show up. But at
Right.
the end of the day, it seems like that authenticity is still something that's really like there for you, and you tend to pay attention to it. And this is also the part of you that like after you've spent so much time pretty much like, helping people and doing all of that. So before, just like how you said, like you would run away or you would just go to travel for fun. I
Yeah.
would say that you were pretty much kind of doing that with your exploration function, which is like I said, the place that we usually go to, the 10-year-old, in order to
Mm-hmm.
just like play. But then later on, after you processed your 3-year-old function, and you realize like, oh shoot, like this is actually what do I call it? This is actually um uh something that makes me um sorry, someone just like dropped off a package and I think it just threw off my train of thought.
I heard
I was like,
it.
yeah, I was anticipating them like knocking on the door or something. It's Amazon. So anyway, after you process your 3-year-old, then it's like, wait a minute, how am I actually feeling? What exactly is going on here? Like, and it took you a few years to notice, but now you're like, you know what, Denzel? I think I was actually running away.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel it. I didn't know it at the time because I didn't process it. It's like, what do you mean? I was just, in my
Right.
exploration, just having fun. And
Yeah,
that
because I had my reasons. I was helping people.
exactly. And that was true. You probably were having fun in that way. But your actual motivation, which is found in your 3-year-old that hits you later on, is I was trying to run away from people because that driver process was burnt out. You just keep on giving money to people, you keep on helping people, you keep on giving money to people, you keep on helping people. And then after a driver function has done so much of that, then it's like, all right, I need a break. And then it goes right over to the backseat functions of the exploration. Let's go off somewhere into the world. And then your introverted feeling authenticity, like maybe while you're traveling, then that's also the time where you're able to ruminate a lot more and to better understand yourself. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions, comments, clarifications so far on this?
No, I mean, without actually having the education and background to break it down, meaning putting words to
Mhm.
me, um, and just knowing that over the years, I've been able to figure myself out and be able to be honest with myself as far
Yeah.
as how and why I do things. I'm not shocked or surprised by what you have come up with,
Mhm.
and a lot of stuff may have sound like, dang, like you said, ask me, did you just come up with that on the spot?
Mhm.
It's almost like technically yes, because you just asked me the question,
Right.
but in theory, no, because this is something that I've been breaking down internally, trying to figure out what motivates me, what's going to keep
Yeah.
me going. And I had to do that, or I've been doing that since 2016,
Mm-hmm.
when the military was pretty much like, okay, thank you for your service, go enjoy your life. At that point, I wasn't done with the military, but the military was done with me. So I
Mm.
had to figure out, okay, going forward, what am I going to do with myself? Because up to that point, it really had been all about servitude, um,
Mm-hmm.
especially being in a law enforcement type of career field. And I knew that the world, the external factors, um, it wasn't safe to become a civilian police officer. That's not, what I wanted to do. So
Mm-hmm.
with that, I say all that to say that I feel like your questionnaire pretty much, summed me up,
Mm-hmm.
because or I agree with it, because I've been down this road of a thought process, just trying to figure myself out and trying to understand,
Yeah.
okay, well, if I can't be in this job profession anymore, then what is my personality telling me? What else do I like? I mean, because prior to getting out the military, I never had to really question what did I like, what did I want to do, because it was routine of, I'm in
Yeah.
the military, I'm going to deploy, I'm going to come back, I'm going to serve my country. And in the smaller pieces were whatever my supervisor or the people I was supervising, whatever they needed from me, that's what would change, adapt
Mm-hmm.
day to day. But like I said, when that was taken away in 2016, I had to find a new norm. And because I had grown and because I had new experiences, my new norm was the normal stuff that I used to like, but obviously, like you said, change, growth. I just had to figure out a new way to do things. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a lot of questions. Like I said, to me, what I got from this today are names to put to a process. And I like that my process, what I did internally, wasn't too far off
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from what was actually going on, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes
Um,
total sense. Yeah.
and that's why my only question that I did have was the order in which it came up,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, yes, I agree with all of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if the order had any type of significance, which, according to you, it absolutely does,
Yeah.
because it comes down to driver, co-pilot. You know how you broke it down. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so the only difference is I would have ordered it differently,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, it's still, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just out of curiosity, how would you have ordered it?
I don't really know, because I don't know how the order has to go. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you ask me be about from greatest to least, how I would think of things is
Mm-hmm.
like, would this go from greatest to least, least to greatest? Would it
Mm-hmm.
go, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It goes back to that detail thing. Like, well, it depends.
Yeah.
um, so that's why that was my only question, because it was just like, how did the order like come up? Because with these types,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure maybe somebody has, say, the same letters but TJSE,
Ah,
that
I
makes
get what you're
sense.
saying.
Like,
Yeah.
why? Yeah, so
Yeah. So yeah, it's more of like the order that you see over here. So for
right,
example, an ISTJ, so if you were an introvert, then your memory would be in your driver, and then your effectiveness would be in the co-pilot. Then
right,
exploration would be as a 3-year-old, and then your authenticity would be in the 10-year-old. So
right,
that was actually the second one that I was thinking, for example. But I was like, that's why I was asking very certain questions. And what I kept on seeing was that your exploration is definitely more of a 10-year-old than a 3-year-old. And so then by that, if your exploration is a 10-year-old and it's the flip side coin, then yeah, mathematically, your memory would have to be second. And then
Right.
if your 3-year-old is definitely your authenticity, then mathematically your effectiveness would have to be your driver. So yeah, but if you're an ISTJ, then this 10-year-old would be your 3-year-old, and I wasn't seeing that for you. Like ISTJs often they see so much of the detail and they don't really see the bigger picture the way that you said that, like, oh, I see the bigger picture, even to the point where like sometimes I might jump the gun because I see the bigger picture, and then I'm like, oh, should have saw a little bit more detail there,
Yeah.
because you can, and that's where the detail will help you. And with my coaching, for example, it's all about developing your co-pilot. And so for you, it seems like that's pretty much like you already noticed it, just like what you were just saying, like, oh, I've already thought through this stuff myself. And so it was cool listening to you how you said that, like, oh yeah, like literally what I was hearing was like, sometimes my 10-year-old exploration would see the bigger picture and think that, oh, we got this, and jump in. But then later on, you're like, should have got a little bit more detail. And it's
Right.
like, wow, like you're literally telling me what your functions are. Whereas like if you're an ISTJ, then your exploration would be 3-year-old. Your 3-year-old would never be like, oh yeah, we got this, and jump ahead,
Right.
because they'd be so scared in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like one of the things I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, when it comes to like the 4 letters, like the ESTJ thing, yeah,
Hmm.
that doesn't change. It's always gonna either be a E or I that's first, and
I
S or
see.
N that's
I
second, and
got
T
you.
or F, yeah.
Where I was thinking those particular sets of alphabets would change within itself, but it's not that. Okay, I got it now.
Cool.
It'll still be in that order, but just depending on the type, it'll be E or I, S or N, T or F, and J or P.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and then the biggest thing is that like one letter can change up the whole thing. Like
Right.
if you change this J to a P, like for example, Aaron, he has all the 4 mental processes that you don't have, even though y'all are
Mm.
both ST types. So he's an
Right.
ISTP. But if for example, like I was originally going into this session, like wondering like, could you be like an ISTJ? And when we did it and everything like that, then it's like I was thinking to myself like, oh, okay, so if you were ISTJ and Aaron's ISTP, the ESTJ and the ISTJ have the same mental processes, but just like I said, different order.
Right.
But if I was to compare ISTJ with ISTP, very different functions. So then some people might be like, oh, well, like I'm an ISTP, but sometimes I'm a little bit organized. So my J and my P are like in the middle. And it's like, well, that's kind of like saying that you have an iPhone that's sometimes an Android, that it doesn't really, the
That's
one
what I was
that,
gonna ask you. Like for people, some of the questions I'm kind of like, I'm in the middle. Like as far as the uniqueness versus the alienated,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So for those people when they're on the fence,
Hmm.
I'm sure it's harder to try to figure out they order or they lettering.
Yeah.
But even when you do, how do you know that it's accurate?
Yeah, that's why I love the verification process,
Oh,
because
that's
then yeah, because then I
okay.
get to like ask them like, does this fit with like how you said that you are, and this that, and I'm always trying to like puzzle it. So the whole entire time while I was like asking you questions, then I'm writing down notes and I'm trying to like see like, okay, but which comes first? Like I know that she has effectiveness,
Right.
and just like I said, if effectiveness is there, since it's a coin, then authenticity is going to be there somewhere too. It's like, okay, but
Okay.
where's her effectiveness? Is her effectiveness in the 10-year-old? Because if it is, then her authenticity is going to be in the co-pilot. No, 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 no. Her effectiveness seems strong. Is it in the co-pilot? Because if it's in the co-pilot, then the authenticity will be in the 10-year-old. Nah, I don't think so either. So then it's like, oh, the effectiveness is over here based off of what she's saying in that way, which means that her authenticity should be over here. Okay, I've established this, but let me just double check if authenticity is really like what she struggles with the most. And
Mm-hmm.
it turns out that, like, yeah, like how you said that pretty much EJ types, they're the ones who do and do and do for people so much that they're like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And so when you start talking mainly, especially like about that, then I was like, oh, and then went in the line with how you have a 10-year-old exploration rather than a 3-year-old exploration. So it's like, okay, I see like what's going on here. And also, even when I asked you that last question about like, would you be in the house full of people or what? Yeah, like that effectiveness driver. So a lot of ETJ types, they consider themselves to be introverted because a lot of them would say like, yeah, I don't like people. And the reason why they don't like people is not because they're introverts, because obviously they're extroverts, but it's actually because of that extroverted process. It's all about getting things done. And if people get in the way of them getting things done, now I don't really like you. And people could be babies that are just like, crying when you're trying to get this stock market stuff done and
Yeah.
focus on that. And so, yeah.
I could see that because I'm definitely guilty of, miss I don't like people, but yet it's like when I think about my life, everything has been how can I help?
Yep,
I feel like I
exactly.
always show up for people. So let's see, at this point, uh I don't know if it's a struggle or not. Sometimes I don't know if it's me trying to, purposely um not help.
Hmm.
And that's why when you was like, well, what's something that people really think? Oh, because you have a big heart. They think I have a big heart because I always show up for them.
Right.
But then it's like this other side of me is like, okay, now, like, if I didn't help you 10 times, like, how many more times am I expected to help? But
Right.
I feel like somebody who just has a really, really, really big heart, they wouldn't even be thinking like that. It would
Right.
just be, okay, I helped you 10 times. How can I help you for, the 11th and 12th and 13th? Like they're looking forward to it.
Hmm.
And then it's like, if I'm such a people person where I'm all about servitude, then why am I looking for jobs that are isolated?
Mm.
So it's like, so that's what got me into human resources, because big picture wise, it's like, well, how can I help people? Yes, but on a day-to-day basis, um have that bathroom time,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. That's
no, it
big.
totally makes sense to me, everything that you went over, like I said. And it's actually a confidence builder for me too, to know that I'm not as out of tune or off the mark that
Yes.
I think about my, even when it just come to myself, how I view myself. This
Hmm.
entire time is one thing for me to think that I'm being honest with myself,
Hmm.
but sometimes even doing that, we still lie to ourselves about things just so that we can feel good in the
Right.
end. So
Yeah. Yeah.
nah, that's cool.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. Yeah, you definitely seem to get it now. And yeah, I think that was also something that I was thinking about. Uh, yeah, the helping people, and then it's just like, all right, well, how many times do I have to like help you, like, and you just kind of like back up in that way. And helping people like also from afar, because
Yeah,
yeah, you have a big heart and it's there, it's still connected to that authenticity. But after a while, like you said, like, okay, people could take it for granted, stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't really want, like, that's not effective anymore. So then you
yeah,
just like back up out of it. So it's like you still want to be effective because that's what your driver process wants. You still want to help people, but now you want to do it in a way that's like, less putting yourself in a position to be taken advantage of.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but awesome. Well, I'm glad that we were able to figure this out.
Cool.
And Yeah, and thanks also for allowing me to be able to interview you like this. Like this was fun. And I feel like this will be.
Hopefully you felt like it was true from the beginning, because you said sometimes it takes 45 minutes just for people to open up. And coming into this, that literally was my only thought. Don't take 45 minutes to open up. Like, just get
You were trying to be
straight,
effective.
just get straight to it. Yeah, like, so you can actually get something out of it. If you waste 45 minutes, then you wasting his time and yours. So yeah. So I'm glad you got, what you needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was literally like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, you were giving me a lot like straight from the beginning. Like, yeah, and I didn't want to jump the gun, but yeah, I feel like even showing this to my instructor, like I think that she would also agree.
Okay.
I will let you know if anything. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. And if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. It actually really helps out my channel a lot, so that more people who actually care about what I want to say can actually find me a lot more easier. Also, if you did enjoy it, then maybe you'll enjoy a lot of my other content as well. So be sure to check out some of my playlists where you'll be able to find a lot of my older videos and older content. And last but not least, if you would like any profiling sessions or coaching sessions, be sure to check out denzelmensah.com, where you'll be able to book me and you'll see the rest of my services. But thanks again and have a great day.